Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Do you know you're starting your day differently than most of the people on earth? Most people just jump out of bed, grab their phones, start their day. Maybe they are in a hurry and stub their toe on the end of the bed, spill their coffee, and then the day starts. And because it starts in a frantic manner, the rest of the day kind of follows or it picks up speed. Maybe you get stuck in traffic and feel worse and worse and worse. There is a different way of starting your day or getting it back on track when you can just take a deep breath in, calm your central nervous system. Think about, what do I want? Not allowing yourself to get swept up in the tide of what everyone else is doing, or just going. There's always there's a limit to how much you can push yourself or force things to happen. We want to work hard, but we don't want to be working ourselves to an early grave. We want to be working purposefully to what we really want. And there is a difference between people who start their day in a calm, intentional manner and spend time thinking rather than just jumping out of bed and going to do the next thing and the next task and the next job. Bob Proctor was my mentor, and he would talk about how few people really think. Bob said many years ago, I was attending a seminar that a good friend of mine, Leland Val Vanderwall, was conducting. He said something that broke me up. In fact, the entire audience roared with laughter. Vanderwall said, if most people said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. A very wise man, and he was correct as well. Bob Proctor said, he writes in his ABCs of Success book a chapter on thinking. And he said, a number of years ago, I had the pleasure of sharing the platform at a convention with the late Dr. Kenneth McFarland, a great educator from Kentucky. He said something similar. Dr. McFarland said, 2% of the people think, 3% think they think, and 95% of the people would rather die than think. I recently read where George Bernard Shaw said most people think 2 or 3 times a year. Bob Proctor gained an international reputation for himself thinking just, or Bernard said, George Bernard Shaw said, I've gained an international reputation for myself thinking just 2 or 3 times a week. By now, you're probably saying to yourself, come on, Bob, everyone thinks. Is that right? Well, let me suggest that you listen closely to most of the conversations going on around you for the next few hours. It will be obvious that most of those talking are not thinking, or they would never say what they're saying. Watch the behavior of some of your peers. You will realize they're not thinking, or they would never do what they're doing. You could fall into the 3% group, which Dr. McFarland referred to as those who think they think. With a little effort, you could catapult yourself into the 2% group that does think. They are the achievers, the winners in life. Thinking must be learned, and it is a subject that is not taught in school. Think about it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Rarely do we find men who willingly engage in hard, solid thinking. There's an almost universal quest for easy answers and half-baked solutions. Nothing pains some people more than having to think." And George S. Patton said, "If everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking." A great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices. You know, you have a reasoning factor, an intuitive reasoning factor, and it is a magnificent tool. Your reasoning factor, your inductive reasoning factor, gives you true freedom. Reason gives you the ability to choose your thoughts. Viktor Frankl, the great Viennese psychiatrist who spent years in concentration camps during the Second World War, wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that regardless of the physical or intellectual abuse he received from his captors, they could not make him think something he did not choose to think. Thinking is the highest function you're capable of. And this mental faculty should be exercised at every possible opportunity. Thought is the preamble to everything in your life. All of the great leaders down through history have told us we become what we think about. In fact, they have been in complete and unanimous agreement on this point, while they disagree on almost every other point. Bob Proctor said, "Unfortunately, the vast majority of people rarely think. They simply accept what they see or hear." The next time someone gives you a suggestion, rather than simply accepting it and acting on it, think. Exercise your reasoning factor. Ask yourself if the suggestion will improve the quality of your life. Here's another great exercise for your reasoning factor, one that Bob Proctor was in a habit of using, and he said it will give you almost anything that you desire. Take a pad and a pen. At the top of the pad, write down something that you want, but in the past you haven't given serious thought to accomplishing it. Begin to think of how you can get what you want without violating the rights of others. Write off why you can't get what you want. As simple as this exercise sounds, very few people do it. Most people think of what they don't want. As a result, they cheat themselves out of the good that life has to offer. Think deep, penetrating thoughts. Your reasoning factor will become strong. Napoleon Hill said, "More gold has been mined from the thoughts of men than has been taken from the earth." You know, the people who are the most revered, who earn the most amount of money, they're not the hard laborers digging ditches. They're the ones building castles in the sky. They're the ones thinking up beautiful ideas. They're the ones who have a vision, and they spend time thinking about what they truly desire. They look at solutions and then they bring them into physical reality. They think. It takes practice to think what you want to think, regardless of outside circumstances. It's easy to look around and feel miserable and point out everything that's wrong in the world, but to actually write down something that you really want, it takes practice. Bob Proctor said we are gradually awakening to the fact that we live in a universe of infinite intelligence that responds to our every thought. But only those who delve into the study of the mind really know what a mighty energy is set in motion with each mental impulse. Thought not only molds our character, but is responsible for the changes in communities, the building of cities, the shaping of nations, and all of the great events that take place in the world. Thought energy is the silent switch that sets in motion mankind's destiny. Every invention and worthwhile discovery was first a mental concept. Every idea that has been backed with faith and effort has become a visible reality, and all seeming material obstructions, such as poverty or physical weaknesses, have only served to stimulate creative action by giving birth to inward resources and bringing out inherent abilities. Bob Proctor said he spent some time with Rick Hansen. Rick Hansen is a young man who was left paralyzed from the waist down after a vehicle accident. Hansen told Bob Proctor that his physical disability turned into a good thing because his disability was physical. He could see it and he could overcome it. Although he was virtually unknown and didn't have any money, he pushed himself around the world in his wheelchair and raised millions of dollars for spinal cord research. It was Rick Hansen's thoughts that liberated him from a dull, pitiful life. His thoughts gave him a life full of adventure, a life full of service to thousands of people, a life that caused millions of people to look at themselves and think of what they were doing with their lives. Before I became a consultant with Bob Proctor in the Proctor Gallagher Institute, I worked for 39 years at an insurance company. And for the last 20 years of my career, I interviewed people who had catastrophically injured vehicle accidents. People like Rick Hansen, who had spinal cord injuries, people who suffered severe brain injuries, and they would never be the same. Their lives changed in an instant, and many of them looked at their past and they ended up being depressed that they could no longer do what they once did. But every once in a while, a special person came along and they took their new disability and decided they are going to do something big, something special, something that when they were able-bodied and took life for granted, they never gave much thought to it. They spent hours dreaming about what they would love to do, what they would love to create. And in their minds, they created really special things. Sometimes they were able to work with their hands. Sometimes it was the way they thought that they created wonderful ideas that changed the world. Ideas like the cell phone, different ways of communicating, artistic endeavors that most people don't slow down long enough to even consider. Thought is a tremendous power, and you can use it to improve the quality of your life and the lives of others. It doesn't have to take a serious accident or a life-changing event. You can begin to think now. Life always expresses the results of our dominant thinking patterns. What are you thinking most of the time, or are you thinking? Are you thinking about what you want, or are you thinking about ways to push away what you don't want? There is no law of assertion. The more you try to push something out of your life that you don't want, the stronger it gets, the bigger it manifests. What you focus on grows. More progress has been made by science starting to study the non-physical phenomena than in all the past centuries that were found in scientific experiments. Quantum physics tells us that you can think a thought and it turns into reality. But that takes effort, that takes power, that takes energy, that takes getting still. What if you just spent a couple of minutes quieting your physical body? Your thoughts might be going off in 1,000 different directions, thinking about all the tasks that you have to accomplish today or what you have to do next, or perhaps you're multitasking while you're listening to me. I encourage you to spend just 5 minutes sitting still. If you're a person who's been taught that sitting still and doing nothing is lazy, it's going to be a stretch for you to spend even 5 minutes. But if you take the time to block out the world, close your eyes, put down your cell phone or other devices, take 5 minutes for yourself. Just take in a deep breath, a deep cleansing breath. Allow yourself to strengthen your mental faculties of imagination, memory, reason, will, perception, and intuition. The mental exercise you're about to be involved with is a truly liberating concept. And although we're going to use it for a specific purpose here, you could adapt it to use in any area of your life. In order to prepare to move into a new dimension of productivity, totally relax. I'm going to show you how quickly you can reprogram your subconscious mind, and it's extremely effective. Your subconscious mind is totally deductive. That means it has no ability to reject. It will accept whatever you impress upon it as reality, whether it is real or imagined. All true professionals employ this imaging process, whether they are in sports, in business, or in life generally. The big picture thinkers, the people who are paid millions of dollars for one idea, employ this on a regular basis. Maybe it'll cause you to think differently or create an idea that changes the world. If you're sitting still and you're not driving or doing something important, I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And let your body totally relax. Visualize a funnel of lavender energy flowing into the crown of your head, circulating through your head and down into every area of your entire body. As this energy freely flows to and through you, circulating into every molecule of your being, let your body become very light. Mentally envision yourself already in possession of the results you desire. The results you desire, something that you truly want. Choose what's very important to you, how you would feel knowing that this life is yours. What are you doing with your time and money freedom? Mentally envision yourself already in possession of whatever results you desire. Bring a picture to your mind that these results, the outcome that you desire, it is so real in your mind. It's as real as the clothes that you're wearing. Really see the picture. This is like getting in tune with the universal mind, getting on the same frequency of your wish fulfilled, getting into the same frequency, feeling as if you already have your desired outcome. Visualize yourself. You might see yourself on the big screen in a movie theater, playing out a role, or even better, if you can get into the feeling that you're already living it, you're seeing from your future eyes the event as it's unfolding the way you wish it to be, the way you truly desire. You're at ease. A feeling of well-being is totally come over you. You might get shivers down your spine when you think of what you desire, as if you're already playing it out in your mind. Now, because your subconscious mind is totally deductive and it has no ability to reject, it will think that this is real, and it will go looking for evidence to support that. So I want you to really get clear on this beautiful image. Your subconscious mind is so powerful, it will accept this with the feeling attached that it is real. That's how people practice in their mind, and then they become the greatest athlete, the world's best, the top of the industry. Is there something that you really desire that you think is impossible, but when you think about it, when you start to feel what that would be like, every cell of your being becomes magnetized to that energy. You start to get ideas, people, circumstances, opportunities that are in the same vibrational frequency will start to show up. They will be attracted to you magnetically as you maintain this image, this powerful vision, this thinking from the goal already attained. If you've been visualizing it, and you can practice this every single day, first thing in the morning when you wake up, a few times during the day, just stop and take a deep breath, close your eyes, visualize what you truly desire as if it's already your physical reality. The more often you do this, the more regularly you practice this, the faster your vision will turn into your physical reality. It will be here before you know it. So let's go back to what Bob Proctor suggested, that you take a piece of paper and a pen and write what you saw in your mind in that visualization exercise. Write it down as if it's already happened. Instead of writing it as a want, a wish, a someday hope, write it down as if it's here now. When you write in the present tense, your subconscious mind starts to look for ways to make it happen. This is how anything that has ever been created started in someone's imagination. And then they wrote about it, they thought about it, they felt as if it's already done, and it became reality. You might write, I am so happy, I am so grateful, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, what is it that you desire? Put in as much detail as you can. The trick is to really feel it, feel connected, get it emotionalized in every cell of your being. As you write your goal, that starts to encode, that starts to trigger, that starts to have the neural connections in your brain firing and wiring. And soon you will have your deep desire. You won't be wishing and hoping anymore. You'll be living it. Create a wonderful day. Spend some time writing about your deep desire. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.